Good morning on this beautiful January 14th, 2023. Today we have the esteemed author, Elena Georgiou. She is from Cyprus, and she is coming to us from a beautiful beach area. Looks lovely, and we're jealous, and we wish that we could definitely be here. Her book is called Living Life to Its Fullest. And what I would like to do is just read you a brief bio about her, and then she's going to speak for several moments about herself and her story, and share some private things about herself that she hasn't shared before. So please be prepared that if you feel anything in this topic might trigger you or upset you, to have somebody with you, or to maybe watch it at a time when you can be a little more calm, or it's a little easier for you to watch. Elena Georgiou is a book award author for Live Life to Its Fullest. She's a gender-based violence expert and global survivor with ambassador with Hope Pikes Global. She's a co-host of the show, The Ms. Texas Show. She's a featured storyteller, change maker, encourager for World Pulse. She is a recipient of a humanitarian award and motivational book award and a featured storyteller award. Elena has a master's in European studies, a bachelor's in sociology, is a certified vocational trainer, is a certified life skills coach, and is a certified social media manager. Please welcome Elena. Thank you. Also joining us today, we have Luanda Cheney, who is also another co-host of mine. And so please welcome her too. Thank you, Luanda, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Elena, fire away.
Thank you for inviting me, Laura, and it's an honor being here and sharing my story. So I will just start by saying a few things about me so people can understand who I am and get and then start sharing my story. So after surviving decades of abuse, I channel my grief into helping others find healing and peace and inspiring change. And I love bringing people together and creating positive change in this world. And I'm interested in healing the collective and empowering sustainable community, because community is everything to me, and I have a burning desire to socialize and foster close relationship with others. So I thrive in environments where I can make many friends. And I'm all about groups, community, and working together. And when I am connected with a collective, I feel at ease. And I need to express my creativity and share it with the world. And I value communication, which adds up to my affinity for self-expression and openness. And I'm a natural public speaker and advocate for my creative expression, which aligns with my writing and storytelling tendencies. However, it's not enough to live out my artistic truth. I need to share it with others to fully feel satisfied. And I love it best when I have an audience as a public speaker or readers for my books as an author and my stories as a storyteller. My mission is to become the bridge between cultures and people worldwide, connect the world at large and make this world a better place, free from abuse, and spread hope, unity, and love. And my vision is to create an organization and shelter to support survivors through housing, education, and advocacy. My passion is to infuse healing and peace and inspire change. And I use my creative talents to help others heal from trauma, because trauma causes us to disconnect from our true selves and others. And we must return to ourselves and center ourselves and regain control and responsibility for our lives to heal. And we have to look at what's behind the trigger to recognize it and the way we react to it. In other words, find a pattern. What's the sound?
Sorry, go ahead, Elena.
Sorry about that. My phone's connected to my computer. I didn't tell it to do that. It's done it all by itself.
Okay, because
machines running the world. So sorry.
So what's going on? Okay, I will continue. So we have to look at what's behind a trigger and recognize it and the way we react to it. And in other words, find the pattern and acknowledge it and the what and why, and accept, forgive, and move on. So I provide education and training to empower others and help them heal, grow, and thrive. And I mean prevention and healing. And I am also, as Laura said already, co-hosting at the Miss Texas show to bring voice of hope for survivors, advocates, community leaders. And in 2023, I aim to reach as many countries and people as possible. I have already reached in this month 11 countries worldwide, and that's good. That means we're going to get more countries in this show. And if anyone wants to join my mission, my vision, my education training, I can share my email as we when we finish up. So what happened in my life? So I will share my story because I want to deliver a message today to all victims and survivors. And I'm not here to blame anyone. I don't feel ashamed anymore of what happened to me or who I am. I'm here with my naked truth to reveal the truth, and only that. And I faced abuse as a child. I was forced to marry the first man I was dating, my abuser. And I was forced to have an abortion at 18 because my abuser didn't want the child. So at 18, I was looking for an exit door because I was facing abortion and a marriage to a man I wasn't ready to marry. Still, I didn't have a choice. I was obeying the rules. I only wanted to study at a university, but wasn't allowed to do that. But in the end, at the age of 38, I entered the university to study. And I became a leader, a change maker, and many other things that you will find out. So I stayed for 20 years with my abuser, and I normalized abuse, and I thought love should be in pain. That's what I lived as a child. So it was normal what I was living as an adult in a marriage. I faced emotional, physical, and financial abuse. I stayed at home for 10 years, raising my children, and I kind of felt trapped in my home. And I was beaten up when I started working at the university where I'm working until today. And when I started my academic studies, my abuser and my parents were against me. I knew I was more than I was programmed to be. So anything I did to grow and evolve and become a better human, I was beaten up. So during my studies, I decided to divorce. Of course, my parents were against it. And they didn't want me to continue studying or have a life of some kind. Still, they wanted me to stay in abuse so my children could study and have a better life. And divorcing my abuser was not a good idea, according to my parents. But I did divorce and I went against the rules or tradition. So after the divorce, I had a relationship. Unfortunately, my parents found out again and tried to force marriage me and interfere in my life. So I broke up with that man and freed myself because that man was abusing me emotionally. It was the same pattern. So my parents were supporters of religion and tradition. They brainwashed my children against me and they joined forces with my abuser. You might wonder why. Because I was going against their rules. That's why. So according to them, it's a sin to be with a man unmarried. It's a sin to want to evolve and follow your heart, to study, to socialize, to be happy, to celebrate being you. It's a sin. So finally, it's a sin to want to live life fully and be present and enjoy the moment. Why is all this a sin? Because according to them, I was a single mother that couldn't do anything. I just wanted to be happy and they didn't want me to be happy. But as far as my children, my parents were okay that my children were dating. It was normal for my children to have someone in their lives, but according to my parents, it wasn't normal for me to have some kind of life. So abuse taught me that we choose our partners due to our unresolved trauma and to be able to face it and heal. And if the pattern continues, you need to resolve whatever it is. And it will continue until you learn the lesson. It's a kind of pattern that reminds us of what happened in the past to perform our unresolved issues or gain control of something we didn't have control over as a child. So in my case, my parents abused me, my ex, and my son. a repeated pattern of abuse from father to son, until I learned the lesson abuse was telling me. So the abuse was a messenger to heal my childhood trauma, accept, forgive, and move on. It was a pathway back to remembering my child abuse trauma, and the two men in my life and my son were the pathways for me to remember. So these men saw their father abusing their mother. So abuse was a learning process, a lineage in the family. I divorced my abuser, but my second son started abusing me because he learned that it's okay to abuse a woman, just like his dad and granddad knew. And his dad taught him by watching him do it. So I faced two choices: to take my son to court, like I did to my abuser. Still, I didn't want to do that because I never received justice. My abuser was set free for the repeated abuse he caused me. So my son became my abuser, which reminded me of the pathway to my child abuse trauma. So that was my fourth reminder of abuse from my dad, my exes, and my son. And that's when I acknowledged it and escaped to heal myself, close the circle, and break this pattern. So I left the house in 2014 and rented a flat, and I have been living alone until today. So my firstborn son and I are still connected, but I am disconnected from my other two children. And my first son was abused by his dad also. Due to abuse, had developed depression and anxiety and wanted to commit suicide at some point. So did I. That's why I left the house, to prevent myself from doing it. And I wanted to live. I didn't want to die. And I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just evolving into who I am today. And my abuser, to revenge on me, never paid the loan I signed for him. So I lost all my money. And I never received justice from the court because my abuser, as I already said, was set free from the repeated abuse he caused me for 20 years. So all this happened for a reason, and I wanted to find what that reason was. So I came to experience abuse in this lifetime and have chosen my family and the lessons or roles they played as my abusers. And I'm grateful for this abusive journey because everything that happened connected me today as we speak to my divine purpose and mission. And I became the first success story in my family history because I rewrote my story. I ended toxic patterns that stalked my family history and broke away from negative expectations that were associated with me. I realized in my journey that I had shared experience with my ancestors, and I wanted to end the generational curse in this family history. So I took the steps needed to address past trauma. And in this painful process, I reminded myself to be patient. It was a marathon, not a race. So I wasn't alone in this procedure. I had my angels by my side, my ancestors that pushed me out of my comfort zone. And in 2019, I came to live in a village, and I discovered that my ancestors, 5 generations before me, was living here in this village. Nobody told me about this, but I always liked the name of this village. And I remember back in 2014, when I decided to exit from abuse and leave my home forever, I wanted to come to this village, but I didn't know why. Maybe I wasn't ready to face the truth. But in 2019, I was ready. I found a flat to rent, and it was the right place for me to come back and heal me. And I was curious about what happened in my family history. So I wanted to discover the pattern and the shared experience with my ancestors in my attempt to heal this generational curse of the family tree and my child abuse trauma. I wanted to heal the 18-year-old me. So I investigate my family tree, 5 generations before me, and I chose by sense of knowing which branch of the family tree was connected to my wound. So I choose one specific because I was living in a village where I had found out that this branch of the family tree lived here. And by my surprise, they were connected to my wound and shared experiences. So my great-great-grandparents wanted me to come to this village for a reason. And the reason was for me to break the chain of this curse and free us all. And I realized this in 2021. And it took me 2 years to finally accept this. And in 2021, my dad dies and didn't include me in the will. So I found out that I wasn't the only one. This kind of situation happened in every generation before me. It was a pattern. Someone was left out, kicked out, and without money. And this is what happened to me also. So this was my part of my family history, and all occurred in the name of power and money. And the one with the money had the authority and the power to either abuse or do anything they choose to do. And the 18-year-old of this branch of my family tree, some of them had experienced bad situations like me because they carried this wound, but not all of them. Others in this family branch had good lives and they never faced adversities. So I went back to discover what happened in a non-judgmental way, because I honor my ancestors and nobody is to blame. And there was a death by neglect. Someone died because they neglected to take him to the hospital, and he was 18. Another had an accident at 18 and was kept him in a coma, stuck forever. Another wanted to commit suicide at 18, and someone else left the house because he decided to go against tradition, customs, and whatever else the family wanted him to do. And to make this long story short, the curse was given to me, and I'm very grateful to be given this, and honored to be one to break this chain. And the shared experience I had were neglect, hatred, abandonment, disconnection, love with pain, abuse, suffering, obeying rules, tradition. So I decided to break away from all these expectations associated with me, and I didn't want to continue being associated with this pattern. So I tried to rewrite my success story, and I did. And the solution was to break the pattern by acknowledging, accepting, forgiving, and moving on. I want to admit that it was a painful journey, and I felt anger, hatred, pain, emptiness, but I allowed myself time to grieve, forgive, release, and move on. And I came to acknowledge what happened, accepted the situation, learned lessons about abuse, money, and power. I came to forgive myself and others that took part in all this shared experience journey, to move on, to turn things around in my life or write my story, to change the game and my perspective concerning money, power, and abuse. And I came to give my life a new meaning and understanding, and share my knowledge, my wisdom with others in their healing journey, and to give solutions to this generational trauma that haunted us for many generations. And I just want to tell you that when you heal ancestral trauma, you help stop patterns and issues from passing to future generations. And it's important to know that it is not to blame our disempowered parents, as ancestral trauma is something they cannot control. It's that you're taking steps to acknowledge trauma and change things for future generations. And that's what I did. So if you're first in your family to chase bold dreams, generational curses could haunt you. It's that voice in your head that reminds you of your past, doubts your future, and questions your goals. And it looks like toxic thinking, self-limiting beliefs, and lack of mindset. And becoming the first success story in your family history means rewriting narratives and breaking free. And generational curses can be broken, but to break them, you must be willing to rewrite your stories. And that's what I did. And to be able to fully heal me, first I had to overcome the generational curse, the child abuse trauma. And second, I had to do shadow work and light work. And both are important for enlightenment, especially when you desire to pursue your soul purpose. And I wanted to do that. And the journey of trusting my intuition to walk down my soul path included both, because I needed to face all my fears to lead by my spirit. And I needed to get out of my comfort zone, although it was very comfortable in there. So both shadow and light work is essential when bringing harmony to your ego and spirit. So I was willing to work through the shadows to create emotional and spiritual healing. However, it was a space I avoided and denied or ignored because I feared feeling my emotional pains, which turned into subconscious thoughts that became a belief system built on pain and fear. So this fear or pain came from my traumatic event of child abuse or something I have been taught that didn't align with my soul truth, or because I was carrying all that emotional pain from the generations that came before me in my family history. And as a child, I wanted to fit in. Growing up, I was taught that being a good girl meant nice, to be nice and respectable and always wearing a smile. But as an empath, everyone else's happiness was essential. So trying to fit in and be a good girl, I worked hard to please those around me. And unfortunately, all this led me carrying deep insecurities about who I was, and I had to battle with myself. And being authentically me meant I needed to discover the shadows behind my fears and understand that by identifying myself as a good girl, I was limiting myself. And trying to fit in, I wasn't allowing myself to stand out in my naked truth. And the depth of my shadows carried a lot of emotional wounds. And I had built a belief system that I was unsupportive if I wanted to follow my soul path. So I worked through the shadows to overcome the fears and heal my emotional wounds attached to these fears. So I healed myself. Nobody could provide the healing I needed because my wound was deep, and I was the one to heal. And many therapists, healers, and coaches out there usually offer a quick fix to your issue, and they just couldn't provide me with what I needed. I needed to set myself free, and I was the only one to do it. I took responsibility for everything that happened, and I understood my role. And meet myself, aiming to set me free, loved myself, face my shadow, and also face a challenging, painful period of my life after my dad's death. I had to forgive him and set both of us free. And I also met emptiness and then acceptance and forgiveness and of my child abuse trauma. And I found a way and healed it. And liberation can be achieved through questioning, research, and study also. So I did a lot of reading and implementing to find the whys and heal. My writing and journaling became my healing tools. I was guided to sit and write and listen to my inner voice. So I used to wake up in the middle of the night, write nonstop, and I was guided to write books, research, and listen to divine messages. Some workshops and courses and training I participated in helped me find new ways to move forward. My academic studies helped me research and study more deeply into the issue I was facing. Being an author and storyteller helped me heal by sharing my stories and lessons in life and inspiring change. So this had a humanitarian cause behind it because it didn't aim only to heal me, but to heal others too. And being a researcher of domestic and campus violence helped me heal by creating results to improve victims' lives, and a researcher to study the generational wounded child abuse trauma, aiming not only to heal me, but others as well. So it had a humanitarian cause behind it. Meditation helped me feel completely relaxed and refreshed with a great sense of calm and overall well-being. In addition, community service helped me. I'm a global survivor ambassador at HopeX Global, an encourager, change maker, and leader working on my 2 initiatives on World Pulse. And these communities offer me social connection, belonging, sharing, and interaction. So all these that I have mentioned were my healing tools, and I have been training myself to become the woman I am today. I didn't have anyone to support me. I was the one to support me, and all the lessons abuse taught me helped me reconnect with who I am today. And I listened, as I already said, to my inner voice, and I was divinely guided. I communicated and connected with my ancestors, my angels, my higher self, and God had always my back. And every step I took and every new book I wrote, every new course or research I wrote brought me closer to who I am today. And to summarize all that I said, I'm truly proud of the woman I have become. And the message I want to deliver to all the survivors is to be willing to work through your shadows to create emotional and spiritual healing. Stop avoiding that space, denying or ignoring it because you fear feeling your emotional pains, which these pains can turn into subconscious thoughts that become a belief system built on pain and fear. So it's time to break out of your prison and free yourselves. And I'm here to provide you with different kind of tools and techniques to overcome the trauma, heal, find peace, and inspire change. And this is my story.
Well, thank you, Elena, for sharing all that, because that really was powerful, how you had to do it on your own. But not only what I found so amazing, and I haven't heard this before, and maybe because I haven't done enough research on my own family. I have a stepsister who's done all the ancestry.com stuff on my side of the family, but that when you research, you found out that 18 was that key number, that where people
Exactly,
had
because-
something pivotal.
Exactly, because that's the age I was looking for the exit door. I wasn't looking at the exit door at earlier age. That's the age that I acknowledged that I was trapped. And when I researched back, I did a lot of research because I had to, my research was really difficult because I had to connect with my uncles, cousins. A lot of them weren't speaking. They were keeping secrets from the family. And you know how it is. There's some secrets that are kept. So it was very difficult for me. It's like just picking small pieces of the puzzle and coming back. So it took me nearly 2 years to uncover the truth. And I knew that at that age, something happened because I was facing that. So what happened to the others? And yeah, it was difficult to find out.
Did you find, though, growing up, when you were trying to make friends, or if you had made friends, because I know for survivors of abuse, you know, sex abuse or domestic violence, myself, you know, that when you're trying to make friends with people, it's really hard. And sometimes you come across people that you would love to be friends with, but they have such a perfect family. Like they have two parents, which for a while in my growing up, I had one parent. And so you kind of think like, wow, you know, there must be something wrong with me or my life, because everybody I meet has two sets of parents, has parents that are involved, has this, has that, and I don't. Or did you find that the people who you knew or became friends with all the women were like in a situation like yourself, where it's just a cultural thing, where the father expects all this from the daughter?
To tell you the truth, all these things that was happening to me, I never revealed it. I revealed it a couple of years ago. Nobody knew what was happening to me.
Yeah.
But you said a perfect word, friends. And I just want to give my insight about friends because it's good for people to get educated in this. So I categorize friends as friends, teachers. So the ones that trigger us different kind of emotions. So they're needed. The ones that are jealous or envious of us, or they because they're jealous, they kind of make us feel small and not worthy. So I call them teacher friends. There are other friends that are friends for fun, socializing, just go out and have fun. You don't share anything that is in your heart. And there is always friends that are connected to your heart, that you can be yourself. You can be your naked truth and reveal everything. And it's the supporting friends, the supporting system, the cheerleaders of your life that help you become better and greater and more. So when I was at that age, at 18, I didn't share nothing to anyone about the situation going on in my house, or after I was married, I was kept like a prisoner in my home. I didn't socialize. I don't know if people understand that. I think, sometimes when I say I'm not believed, but the reality is this: I married my abuser and I wasn't allowed to socialize. I socialized only by his company. I mean, meaning that if I wanted to go somewhere, I had to go, he would accompany me. So I didn't have friends. And I wasn't allowed to go out. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I was staying. I wasn't allowed to work. So an abusive, a woman that is in abusive marriage and doesn't have money, doesn't have a car, doesn't have anyone to support her, was very difficult for me to escape. I stayed for 20 years in that marriage. And people ask me, why did you stay there? Yeah, how can I leave without money? And I had 3 children. So, of course, I had dreams. Of course, I was waiting for the right moment to escape. I had that all in my subconscious mind, and was playing all that, how I'm going to escape, but I didn't have anyone to help. And in the country I'm living, we didn't have shelters, like nobody to help us. A few years now we have in the whole island, I think we have 2 shelters. Can you imagine that? So back then, when I was married, there wasn't any help and no money. So at that point, that when I was home for 10 years, then there was an opportunity to work at the university, and I didn't tell him. I just went. I was like, I had a car at that point. After that, I had a car at that point. So it was easy for me to find a job, and I found a job at the university, and I didn't tell him. And he found out after 1 month, and you cannot imagine what happened. And he wanted me to stop, and he beat me up so badly that I went to the hospital. And I started saving money at that point. I said, I'm not going to stop. And I started saving money without him knowing, because I wanted to save an amount of money to be able to support not only me, because I had 3 children. So, yeah, it's difficult for someone that is in abuse.
What did it feel like for you entering a university at 38?
30, for my studies, you mean? 30, I
Yes.
got employed. Okay, for my studies.
Yes.
Well, it was a great experience. I was the only one in the room that was 38, and my classmates were 18. So at starts, when they met me, they used to call me Mrs. Elena, and then I said, stop doing that because I'm feeling old. So they started telling my name, calling my name. And as we graduated, they used to call me mom. I was their mom. So imagine now all that room. Whenever I enter the room, they said, mommy, how are you? So it's like I had a room full of children.
Yeah.
And it was a nice experience because I was like one with the group, and they gave me so much freshness, and they were 18-year-olds, so it was really nice. They gave me so much love, and that's what I needed.
What did it feel like when you were going to court with your abuser, with your ex-husband, and you go in, he's got a perfectly clean record, you have from what you had told me, information you had been giving the police and like the court systems about what was happening to you. They had none of that on record. And then when everything is said and done, you find out that he abused someone else, that his record wasn't clean.
Okay, so this situation was going on for 1 year. They were inviting me to go, and they didn't allow me to speak, not even 1 minute. And they used to go, I used to go there, sit there, wait for them. And always they had an excuse that they postpone it and we'll have it next month, the next month. So I was going, and all this situation, there was not the judge, the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Invited me 3 times in this 1 year in his office, and he tried to make me stop the procedure by telling me, okay, you want to divorce him, so just drop this procedure and we'll go home and all that. And I was saying no to him. He should go to jail. And I told him also, he has beaten up somebody else, and I knew that he was 2 years for suspended imprisonment. I already knew.
Okay.
So what they did was very cruel that day. It was the last day of the trial. And they just cleared his record, all of it. And the judge got the paper, and he was holding the paper and saying, you know, this is his first time that he's beaten you, and he has a clear record and all that. And suddenly when I heard him, it's like my voice shut down. I couldn't speak. If I was in this age that I am now, in this situation, I would definitely speak. But I didn't have a lawyer or anybody else. And even the welfare or the police were not there because they had their records. They had their files of all the abusive journey I had for 20 years. And this kind of situation in the courtroom and the corruption that is happening, it's not only my case. There are millions of cases, not only in my country, Cyprus, I mean, all over the world. And when everything was finished, I went to the headquarters of the police, because at that place I had professors that were teaching me in the university. So I had many people there that I knew at the headquarters. So I went and told them, open your computer, please. I want to see if this person has a clear record. So they opened the computer and they found that he had a lot of things in there, and the 2 years suspended imprisonment. And a person there, I'm not going to name anyone, he got the phone and called and said, who has cleared this record? I want to know. I don't know what they spoke, but he closed the phone and told me, look, I want you to go home and start your new life. Somebody closed everything, cleared everything for him. So I was powerless, not only voiceless, but powerless. So I understood that there's corruption. And I said, I'm going to do something when I'm ready, because I wasn't really ready. I wasn't feeling strong and all that. But I knew there was injustice. And then I found out that many other cases, there was injustice also, because I used to go to the court because I did my research. My bachelor's thesis was my research about the services, if they're providing good services, and they weren't providing because they didn't provide me good services. So I was going to the welfare police and collecting my data for my research, and I went to the court to see other trials there, and there was similar things going on. And that's when I understood that they didn't have, let's say, a central database. And the report is like, if I go to the welfare, they have different reporting database. If I go to the police, they have other. They don't have it connected. And that's when I understood that maybe the judge, when they present their papers, he doesn't know how many years I have been abused, because he gets the papers from a certain office. Maybe the police gives them the papers, maybe the welfare. I don't know where he gets it. But there isn't any central database, and that was part of my research, and things that need to change. So when, let's say, a victim goes to court, the victim has to be supported from from the government, from the state, from and in this situation, the victim is not at all protected. And in my case, and I think in other cases also, victims do not have money to pay a lawyer. It's very expensive. So we should have, you know, free lawyers and all that. That was part of my research, how to improve victims' lives.
I can definitely, I can't personally relate to that, but I can see how frustrating it must be that everything is so disconnected and that
Yeah.
people are not on the same page and they're not communicating with each other. So therefore, the judge gets everything piecemeal and he just goes by what he receives. He's not going to go by what you tell him, unfortunately, but what they give him. He says, well, the police gave me this, so it must be true. And it doesn't mean that it is, but nobody's connecting on the same page. So everything is kind of, you know, wrong, which
Right,
is unfortunate.
exactly. And I
Um,
hope things improve. I hope things will improve at some point.
well, you're currently working on an initiative. So can you tell us
Yes.
about that?
I'm working on an initiative called Justice in Court. It's about this corruption that happened to me and a lot of women out there. So that was part of my vision. And I already said it at the beginning when I started speaking today. So my vision is this, to create an organization to support the rights of the victims and shelter that
Yes.
can improve their lives. And it's like, yes, a central database and all this to help the victims.
You stated trauma causes us to disconnect from our true selves and others. What do you think we can do to reconnect?
To reconnect, we have to come back to us and take full responsibility of everything that's happening. And instead of blaming others, we should just say, we allowed ourselves to be this truth. Like, I don't blame my abusers for abusing me because I see my role in it. I accepted the abuse. Yes, I wasn't powerful. Maybe I didn't have a voice. I was voiceless, powerless, yes. But at some point when I understood I have to take responsibility of me, of my life, and I have to come back to me, then I understood that whatever I was living, it's disconnecting me from me. It's not being my truth. That's why I left the house. It's not because I hate them. Of course, I love my children, but they were doing something bad to me and my family. So I just left because they were kind of not allowing me to be my truth. So I needed to connect with myself. So the only way now, I already said it as I was speaking, is
Yes.
shadow work is very good to help us come back to us and connect. It's like whatever somebody's doing and triggering us, it's because we attracted this kind of situation. It's all the feelings we suppressing inside, so we get to attract what we are inside. So if we reown it and integrate it back to us, then we will feel more connected. That's the piece of us that we have to bring, because we're not supposed to be only good. We have the bad side also. So if we accept that bad side, that yes, this is me, this is the bad side, this is the anger or whatever else, and reown it and integrate it back to us, then we become whole. And that's when it's not only healing, it's becoming whole and authentic.
What is Hope Pikes Global? And what is it like to be an ambassador for them?
So Hope Pikes Global was last year. I became a global survivor ambassador, and it's my family, it's my new home, and it's everything for me. And I'm working as a co-host of the Miss Texture Show now, because part of my mission is to connect the world. And Hope Hicks and the Miss Texture Show is giving me this opportunity to work on my mission. And I am inviting advocates and survivors and community leaders to give them a voice, a platform, so they can share their story. And in my attempt to connect the world. And up to now this month, I connected with 11 countries, so I'm doing good. So let's hope at the end of 2023, I can reach the 195 countries of the world. Let's hope so.
I think it's possible.
Me too. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
You definitely have that spark. So I think, you know, now you just have to kind of fan it a little bit. I definitely think it would happen.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna work it through. I'm gonna try my best, and you never know.
You're an award-winning author, featured storyteller for World Post. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, World Pass is another community that I'm a member, and I shared part one story, not part two that I shared with you, because I shared part one and part two with you. So I shared my part one, and they liked my story, and I received an award. And I continue writing my stories as far as my initiative is going, because I'm in a Changemakers Lab, and we're finishing now. And yeah, this month is our last assignment in graduation. So I'm writing my stories in World Pals, and it's a very big community, very good community, because again, it's a safe place for a lot of women. I think they have 80,000 women on that platform.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how much energy you get and inspiration from each other. And I like it there because it gives me a place to write my stories and feature them, and people can read my stories.
Luan, is there anything you would like to say? I don't mean to monopolize the whole
No, I
conversation.
just, you know, listening and understanding and, you know, identify with a lot. I started college at 18. I was the youngest, the only one in my family, the first one to ever go. And I didn't finish until I was 38. And I went back and
Oh my God.
finally finished. So I went to, I think, 8 different schools, you know, I'm moving all around and getting everything. So when you said that, I thought, yeah, I identify with that too. But no, I don't have any questions. I think you've done an excellent job of letting us get to know who you are and what your purpose is. And it's inspiring, you know, it keeps us going. And I just read your book, Live Life to Its Fullest. And it's kind of like having your suggestions is like having a vision board, you know, in your mind, you know, with all these affirmations. And I really liked some of the ideas that you had there that I'm well familiar with that area, but you had some new things. So I hope people do grab that book and read it in the process.
I hope that
It's
too.
very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. It was like, I don't call it a book. Sometimes I call it a journal, because I do a lot of journaling. So my journaling becomes books writing. So yeah, I just feel it like it's my journal, and a lot of my readers that I know that they read it, and one of them told me that as they read it, they sense my presence there. It's like me being there with them, because the people already know me, bought the book. So some that didn't, it's just, yes, it's like having me as a presence there and being with you.
Well, that's important because they're bonding with you, they trust you, and then they're open then to what you have to offer, which is very valuable information. So touche.
Yes, I know. And it's very important for people to trust you, because um, if they trust me, then I can they can allow me to help them heal. That's the
I
main
think
thing.
that's why Laura and I and you and Bernita and others are telling our stories, because too many people, you know, women maybe especially, are thinking, you don't understand. You don't know what I've been through. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We've been there. We know exactly what you've been through. And once we tell that, then others will understand that they're not alone and that they can talk about it. And the magic thing is that when you write about it or you talk about it, it takes the edge off. It lessens it. You know, I can talk about the most horrendous things and people will say, I don't know how you can do that without crying. It's because I'm not there anymore. I'm over here, you know,
Yeah.
and you've done a very good job of putting yourself in a position where people can identify with you and they feel safe, like we were talking about earlier. And then once they tell their story, even if they tell it to one person, and we're all here to listen, if anybody wants to tell their story to us, we're here. And then that's the beginning of the freeing process. And then we
Exactly.
get to be like you and be on this fabulous beach and people
Yes.
all over the world listening to you.
Invited to come here in Cyprus, and we can go around, and mainly in summer. Now it's winter. We're not going to the beach. We could go
Yeah.
there to walk if you want.
We go dancing.
Oh,
Yes,
I know
exactly.
I know
That's
that's one of
what
the things. Yeah.
definitely. I'm taking you for dancing.
Yeah.
If you're coming here, we're going for dancing. Absolutely.
I love to dance still at my old age, and I see pictures of the elderly out on the dance floor shuffling around, and I'm wondering, is that what I'm doing when I think I'm dancing? Am I out there shuffling around a little bit? I don't know.
Probably not. I'm sure you've got a great move in you. What advice would you give to someone who's in a relationship because they are afraid to be alone?
If they're afraid to be alone, they're going to attract the things they are definitely don't want to attract anymore. Because if you stay alone, that means and you face yourself, you love yourself, you face your shadow, you face everything, then you become whole, and then you can meet the right one for you. And if they're alone, they're feeling alone, that means they have to come back to them and start their inner journey. And the method I use is journaling. So I teach people how to use a journal, and maybe different kind of journals, to help them in this journey. So the number one step to do is, if they're feeling lonely, don't get into a relationship. Avoid that. That's a red flag. And first, you have to become whole, and you have to bring happiness inside of you. And the number one person responsible for our happiness is us, and not a man or a woman. We are responsible to bring that to our lives. So if you're not ready, and avoid getting into a relationship, because it's going to be more painful. And we already had painful relationships and childhood periods in our life. So it's time to heal and become whole and free ourselves at last. And then the one that is right for you will appear in your life.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you fall asleep, what are some of the things that you are grateful for?
I'm grateful, first of all, to be alive. I'm grateful that I can open my eyes and I can see. I'm grateful that I have a healthy body and I can walk. I can do everything I need. And I'm grateful that I have people around me that do love me and I never felt alone. And I also am grateful um, for my angels that are 24 hours with me in my journey. And I am grateful for everything that happened in my life. And also I'm grateful to my higher self for allowing me to see and all the wonderful journey I had.
Well, we're grateful that you did speak to us.
Yes,
And
definitely.
I'm grateful to you for inviting me here.
Do you feel now that you are living life to its fullest?
Well, I'm living life to its fullest, but I have a 10% not yet getting there. And I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna lie or something. I need another 10% to fully, but I'm working on getting there. That's the good part. And I have a good background behind me.
Yes.
Help me out. The beach side.
Yeah, that is a beautiful one. Have you become the miracle you wish to have?
Definitely. I am the miracle and the role model. Because can you imagine? It's from 2014 that I'm living alone. It's 8 years now. Yeah, 8 years now. I don't have a relationship. I don't live with anybody. I'm living completely by myself, and I'm feeling very happy that I'm living by myself. And I did so many accomplishments and so many things. I helped so many people. Um, and I feel so proud. And I became a role model because I wanted others to follow me. I wanted to follow my lead.
Yes.
That's why.
What does the future hold for Elena?
What does the future hold? What does Elena want for the future?
Yeah, or that too. Yes.
Well, my future will be as I envisioned it, living life to the fullest with the love of my life. Yeah, so I can encourage others too to feel that. Because I don't like only sharing what happened. I want to be sharing what the future is holding for me. So this is what I envision myself, living life to its fullest with the love of my life and the right man for me, and also accomplishing all my dreams, my vision that I already said it, my organization, and many other things. Maybe finishing my third book that I didn't accomplish in 2022. And I promised a lot of people that I'm going to have a third book, but I didn't do it. And yeah, hope I accomplish that. And also, I want to have more collaboration and partnerships with NGOs and other foundations and delivering my training, my education, my sessions that I do, and inspiring people and helping them overcome the trauma using the art of journaling, writing, and storytelling, because it's really healing when you start doing this. And I'm encouraging people to walk on this journey and start journaling their thoughts, because it's the only way to release their destructive thoughts there in a journal, and also all the self-limiting beliefs they have, and throw it in a journal. And it's the only way to heal them and to overcome this situation they're living.
Well, thank you. I think you've given a lot of great ideas and a lot of help to women out there. I definitely think if you are watching or listening today, that you definitely need to purchase her book and read through it, do all the activities, make your 100 list, and definitely follow through on that. It may seem daunting at first, but it definitely will not be, and it will definitely bring you closer to wholeness and who you need to be, because when you're on that path, as you said in your book, the biggest obstacle that people face is them. They themselves are the obstacle that gets in their way. And I do say that about myself sometimes too, that, you know, things would get better if I could just get out of my own way. So I understand that you're on that path, and then suddenly something happens and you panic, and then you're stuck and you just can't seem to get out of your own way to move forward. So there are great suggestions in the book and things I think that definitely would help you. And again, like she said, read her book, contact her if you need to, check out the organizations that she's a part of, become a storyteller and share your story, because that's all part of the healing too.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. Is there any words of wisdom or anything that you'd like to close us out with?
The words of wisdom that I want to share
Yes.
is I said yes to me, and I want all the people out there to say yes to themselves and to live life to its fullest.
Very good.
Thank you. Yes, that is definitely wonderful and very powerful. And I think we all should live life to its fullest. If you or someone you know is going through sexual abuse or has suffered from sexual abuse, and which can lead to domestic violence, please feel free to check us out at www.healingwatersglobal.org. Myself, Luanda, Dr. Benita Mitchell, there's a ton of women there who we're all like family. We would love to help you. We'd love to empower you on your journey and listen to your story if you're willing to share it with us. It's definitely a safe space. We have several private pages, so you are more than welcome to connect with other women, speak your truths, tell things about yourself, ask for help, and just a group of women will be the only ones that see it. And then there are several public pages as well. But definitely reach out to us. We would always love to help you. We are always here for you when you're ready. And also, just so you know, in February, we are having another She Reads podcast by author Jennifer Day. She's going to be doing her book called Dear Single Woman. And it's basically a book of letters that she has written to herself, that she also applies things to other people. So when you read them, you can really feel as if she's writing it to you and empowering you and helping you along the way. And it is also a beautiful book that you can buy on Amazon. So if you would like to, please check that out. And we look forward to seeing you in February. But have a wonderful afternoon and or morning, wherever you are. But everyone, take care.
Bye.